Hi everyone, and welcome to Names Are for Nerds, where we discuss various things nerd culture. Today, we are going to be talking about Portgas D Ace from the anime and manga One Piece. Ace is a character loved by many fans, myself included, and for good reason. From the moment he is introduced, Ace is established as a badass and a force to be reckoned with his cool hat and his badass tattoo and of course his awesome fire powers. But when I think of Ace, the first thing that comes to mind is sadness and tragedy. But why exactly is that? Well, let's dive right in. You might think that the tragedy of Ace comes from his death at a young age, and well, it does contribute to it. To find the roots of this truly sad story, we need to go back further. Ace was born to the Pirate King and a woman named Rouge. Both his parents died before he could remember them, and he was raised by mountain bandits and occasionally Garp being a marine and his father's rival. Ace learned that his father was a despised man at a very early age, and constantly heard that if the Pirate King did indeed have a son, he should just die or never should have even existed. This made Ace develop the thought that he didn't deserve to live, and he spent the rest of his life trying to find out if he does. At some point, Ace met Sabo, a noble boy born to a family who did not care about him. The two would become friends and even brothers, and for the first time in his life, Ace had someone who genuinely cared for him and showed him love. A few years later, Ace meets Luffy. First, Ace does not want anything to do with him, and he even bullies Luffy. But after a while, he starts warming up to Luffy, and after saving his life and learning that he really likes Ace's company, he asks him the question, "Do you think I deserve to live?" Luffy, to Ace's real surprise, immediately answers with, "Of course you do." Then we see a flashback of Ace asking Garp the same question, and Garp answering, "You are going to have to figure it out yourself." This 10-year-old child was told his life has value for the very first time. By now, this must seem like a really nice story, but here is where things start to go downhill once more. After becoming brothers and deciding to become pirates, Sabo is captured by his abusive family. Sabo, not wanting to live this life anymore, runs away from home and sets sail to freedom for the first time in his life. Sabo also being a tragic character for very different reasons. But right when he sets sail, he is killed by a nobleman. The two boys who are left are crushed, and we see Luffy not being able to contain his grief and crying non-stop, while Ace doesn't shed a tear and doesn't show his sadness. After a few days, Ace finds a note from Sabo where he explains his plan and says goodbye. Ace reads this letter alone in the forest, breaks down in tears, unable to hold himself back anymore. Even at the age of 10, we see Ace was holding his pain and sadness. The moment you see this child breaking down, realizing that his brother is truly gone, is really heartbreaking. There is a lot of death in One Piece flashbacks, but this moment, where a child who felt unwanted by the world lost the first person who made him feel loved, is simply painful and tragic to see. After this moment, Ace develops a new outlook at life and lives by the words, "The only way to live life is with no regrets." So, we've established that Ace had a rough childhood, but there is much more to this tragic tale. 7 years later, Ace sets sail as a pirate with the goal to make a name for himself greater than his father's. Ace found success as a pirate and caught the attention of the world government. Later in his career, Ace challenged Whitebeard, the strongest man in the world and the Pirates King's only rival, and was defeated by him. Ace was taken aboard Whitebeard's ship. On it, he saw how the crew were a family to each other, and he eventually joined them, making Whitebeard his father. 3 years later, Ace would chase down Blackbeard, the crew's traitor, and loses to him, getting captured by the world government. By this, he failed to avenge his friend who was murdered by Blackbeard. The government decides to use Ace as an opportunity to make his execution public and declare war on Whitebeard. Ace is freed by his brother Luffy and crew, but is killed before he can escape. But even in his final moment, he chooses to give up his life to save Luffy. Just before dying, Ace thanks everyone who loved him, and says his only regret is not seeing Luffy accomplish his dream. With that, he dies with a smile on his face. You might look at all of this as a good story. He had a rough childhood, died at only 20, but he had no regrets and died happy. But that is not exactly true. It is true that upon death he claimed to have no regrets, but Ace failed to do something very important. He failed to see the good things in his life before he died. It is true that just before death he realized it, but he lived his life feeling unloved and pointless, and yet he could only see his worth and how much people loved him and how much he did have the right to live and to be his own man, only before he was dead. Ace did not make the name he wanted. He did not realize he had the right to live. He never avenged his dead friend, and he never got closure. But this is more than just tragedy. It is an honest and brutal reflection of real life. As much as we don't want to admit it, we will not finish everything we wanted to, and we will not always get closure. Death is sudden and unexpected. Whether we want it to or not, it's coming for all of us. Ace is the perfect representation of this. His life was stopped in the middle, quote unquote, so it is unfinished and cannot be finished and will never be finished. And he only realized that he had what he truly wanted and truly needed just as it was too late to actually do anything about it. But there is a silver lining in this great cloud. At the very least, we can take comfort in knowing that in his last moments, Ace was finally happy and finally had what he was looking for, and he died, leaving this world with a smile on his face and a feeling of no regrets. Thank you everyone for watching that video. If you liked it and would like to see more videos like it, please consider liking this video and subscribing to my channel. Thank you.